I want you guys to have, the information, but I don't want to overwhelm you and your faces tell me if, I'm doing too much. So it would be great if you guys can put on your cameras. This is a safe space. Yeah. So, dare to be seen, creating massive income and impact just for being you. So here's what we're gonna cover today. By the end of this, you will be able to know what to say and how to say it. Stand out like the star that you are, even if you're an introvert. Do we have any introverts among us? If you are, let me know in the comments, simply by raising your hand or just saying yes, that would be great. I'll also help you position you and your brand to be the best and have the media begging to showcase you and your product. I'll also help you show up and stand out and make that money, because at the end of the day, we're not doing this for fans. We're doing this because we have a vision and we want to help more people, and the more people that we want to help, it would require us to make more money, right? So the money is not really for us. The money is for us to help do good and help empower other people, right? So just, a bit about me. I am Carla. You can call me Carly. The name of my business is Carly Communications. I've been featured in Forbes twice. I've also been in Entrepreneur Magazine, BuzzFeed, Post, Stripe Global, local, regional media, and I've won up to 7 international awards, including Female Publicist CEO of the Year and Marketing Communications Expert of the Year. I'm actually going for number 8. I've been nominated, so I'm going for my 8th award, fingers crossed, right? I'm also number 31 on a global list of PR companies, and I've also been named one of the top marketers to follow. I've helped so many entrepreneurs get seen, heard, and paid globally. These are just some more reasons to love me. I have 2 children born 18 years apart. My daughter is 24 and my son is 6. Don't ask why, it is what it is. I also live, as I mentioned, in Trinidad and Tobago. We are known for our culture. We are known for our soca, our carnival. We're also known for our beaches, our bacon shack. You definitely need to visit. If you have not visited us as yet, you definitely need to come here and experience Trini life or Trinbago life. And I always tell people this, I am a tad bit crazy, but the good crazy, because you have to be crazy once you're dealing with marketing, media, PR, dealing with other people. You need to not all be there, but I promise you it's the good kind of crazy. These are some of the entrepreneurs that I've helped. A lot of these entrepreneurs have gone on to do big things. Many of them have gone on to great stages. Many of them have gone on to sign major book deals. I actually just had a client, she just co-wrote a book with Lisa Nichols, so she's actually on the red carpet as we speak. Every single one of them are doing their best and is doing the most to help the people who believe in them, right? We have authors, we have accountants, we have coaches. All of them are changing lives just from showing up. So let's talk a little bit about publicity. I say publicity is wherever you show up to an audience that does not belong to you. That is the easiest, quickest, fastest definition that I have for publicity. So you went on a Facebook, a Instagram, a YouTube live, that's publicity. You was on the newspapers, that's publicity. You were on TV, that's publicity. You were mentioned in a feature, that's publicity. Any opportunity that you get to show up to an audience that you would not have shown up to in any other way, shape, or form, where you can showcase what it is that you know, showcase what it is that you stand for, that's publicity. And I really think that publicity is indeed the missing piece, because with everything that's going on in the world, right, you're going to need some sort of extra help in the visibility department. A lot of us, we're glued to social media, but what's going on social media? You have conspiracy theories, you have the news, you have memes, you have jokes, you have all these random things, right? How are you going to cut through the noise? PR and publicity is definitely what you're going to need, right? Because you're going to have to try so much harder to be noticed. you definitely need to showcase yourself and your brand as an authority brand, because this is where your audience goes if they don't know you exist. I call them mediocre Mandy. Mediocre Mandy, she goes above and she never goes above and beyond for her clients just like you. We know a mediocre Mandy, right? She's taking our clients, right? She says that she can do it and she never does it. Lying through her teeth, Lucy. She tells you one thing, but when you buy it, it's something else. In the Caribbean, we call that cat in bag. Yeah, they sell you one thing, but when you get it, it's something completely different. And then of course there's waste of time Randy, who is really good at talking the good talk, but her products are nonsense, right? And what happens is that because these people are loud, because these people are showing up, because these people are known, right? They are the ones that people see and would invest in. And then when they get upset, they get turned off, they come back to you to ask for help and expect a discount because they were, they were jaded before. And that I see this all the time, right? We need to definitely move on from that. And let me tell you another secret. A lot of the reasons why people like this show up more is because they don't suffer with imposter syndrome. The more educated and knowledgeable you are, the greater imposter syndrome is. It is the people who have nothing, no morals, no anything. They don't suffer from imposter syndrome. So they go out there and they say what they need to say. But people like us, people in this room right now, where we need to show up, we second guess ourselves. We tell ourselves, what I go say? People might not, they mightn't like us. Like we talk ourselves out of greatness. And then we make these people come to the forefront and spoil the reputation of the industry and of the brand that you're trying to build. So we need to move away from that. So I want to ask you guys, what's holding you back? What's holding you back from showing up? What's holding you back from not putting yourself out there? And feel free to answer in the comments, right? What will I even talk about? I don't even know if I'm ready. Who would want to interview little old me? I'm not anybody important. It's so hard to getting in the media, getting that feature, getting that magazine. It's so hard to get, and it's probably really expensive. What if I told you that I can tell you exactly what to say, how to say it, where to show up for free, and you can get all the accolades that you need. You can get all the exposure that you need. And I can also show you how to leverage that exposure to ensure that you get paid. Would you guys be interested in having that conversation with me? Let me know in the comments, right? There are a few of you that are not muted. So if you're not muted, I'm expecting that you're going to ask me a question, which I'm all ears for if you want to ask a question. If not, we would love if you guys could mute. And if you do have a question and you don't want to ask it right away, you can definitely put it in the comments and we will get to that maybe later on, right? Also, I want to share with you guys, I should have said this up front. I talk really fast when I'm nervous, and every time I'm speaking, I get nervous, right? So if I'm talking too fast, please slow me down. It happens. I can't control it. Yeah, so let me know. Yeah?
Really quick. Someone's asking if you have a microphone by any chance,
Oh,
or maybe turn the volume up. Just a little bit.
All right.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt. I know you were just
no,
getting into the flow.
Perfect timing to interrupt me. That's fine. It is at 100. Is it too low? Do you want me to change your mic? I can try to change my mic.
No, it's just very distant, almost like maybe you're in a big room or something. It's just not, your mic is not directional.
I can assure you I'm not in a big room.
Okay. Now it's clear.
My microphone, that's better? You guys?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
Oh, lovely. So again, I apologize. But I hope you guys heard what I said before, right? So let's drop some truth bombs. Truth number one. Last check, there are more than 5 billion active social media users today. That is 2024. In 2023, there were 4 billion users. So we increased by 1 billion in a year. Isn't that crazy though? Like, what are these people doing on social media? Like, what's going on, right? Between LinkedIn, TikTok, well, X, which used to be Twitter, like, there's so many active social media users. How are you going to cut through all that stuff? How are you going to cut through all that noise? How are you going to
Exactly.
It's disgusting, isn't it?
Yes, it is
Right?
disgusting.
And then truth number two, and this is going to hurt some feelings, but it's fine, right? The media doesn't care about your business. They
Yeah.
care about you, your story, your journey, why you're so passionate about what you do. Too many of us, when we go to the media, we think we have to tell them we have this degree or we did this program, or like, they don't care. What they care about is how have you transformed the lives of the people that you have come into contact with. That's what they care about. I did a whole interview about when I first started in business and people told me I wasn't going to make it. I was wrong gender and wrong color for my industry, literally, right? And that's how I broke into it, telling my story and being an inspiration for others. That's what the media wants to hear. They don't care about, Carla Williams Johnson, CEO of Carla Communications. What does that mean? It doesn't really mean anything. But we get so hung up and we get so caught up in the, oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that. But you did a lot to the people that you came into contact with. You did a lot for the people who you work with every day. And nobody can do what you do better than you, right? And you have to always remember that. See yourself as a superhero. You're coming to save the day and the dollar of the people who see you as the thing that they need in their life. Yeah? So we just need to change our mindset on how we think. So let's get into your visibility strategy. Yeah? So I heard this saying many moons ago, and I never really got it until I got into PR and publicity, right? Your mess is your message. It's the same thing I was saying just now. No one cares about the top of the mountain. What they care about is how you got to the top. The things people said, the long days and the even longer nights, the tears that you cried, the failures that you have experienced, because you are serving as a motivation and inspiration for people around the world, right? And sometimes being visible requires you to be a little bit vulnerable. Now, doesn't mean you have to tell people your business, as we say in the Caribbean. You ain't telling everybody your business. You ain't going out there and just, laying it out. But you are sharing enough of your personal life, of your struggle, of the things that you've had to go through to the audience that needs to hear what it is that you're saying. Because that's how you're going to motivate and inspire others. That is what's going to cause the connection. That's what people are going to resonate with. Because all of a sudden, you're human. You're just like them. And they see you as a beacon. Like, I could be like that, right? If Michelle is doing this and if Jacqueline is doing this, who am I not to be able to do it? People say that all the time. So you have to be very mindful that you do need to be a little bit vulnerable in sharing your story. And covering up your mess is not the way to go. People want to see that you failed so that they know it's okay to fail as well and bounce back from it, right? And I just put, these are some of the international features that I've done, and I just put this as examples to show you like the kind of conversations that you can be having. So Kiva talked about, how to successfully navigate love, life, and as a powerful woman. Avril, she talked about, the lifestyle tweaks to help support people's journey. And it was more about like burnout and how not to suffer with burnout.
And I talked about, how to succeed in a male-dominated industry and all the drama that I had to go through. These are real stories from real people and we use these stories to inspire others. And I'll have you know, both Kiva and Avril are introverts. They are both introverts, terrified of the camera, terrified of showing up, but they're still inspiring others despite it. So self-promotion is not gross. Self-promotion doesn't make you a narcissist. We hear that a lot, right? If you have to promote yourself, if you have to talk about yourself, then, you're probably not anything special, but you are. And if you don't tell people who you are and what it is that you do and how it is that you can help them, then they won't know that you can help them. It is your responsibility, right? You have to make yourself as visible as possible so people will know how to help them, how you can help them. And being visible does not mean posting on Instagram every day or making up your mind to do a TikTok video once a week, right? It is important to do those things, but it's not necessary if it is that you want to make the connection that you need to make. You have to really dig deep into getting seen and heard to make those connections. So choose the right media for you, even if you're an introvert. This is how you choose the right media for you, right? You can guest blog or guest post, right? This is a good fit if you have a lot of writing, if you're a person that you like to write or you've written a lot before, right? And you want to stay hidden, you don't want to be seen so much, but you want to get your work out there, guest blog, right? There's so many online forums, so many online magazines that you can write for. You just submit your piece and they would basically run with it. Then there's a magazine, a press on online feature. So how this happens is that a journalist will reach out to you and say, hey, I want to do a story on you. I love you. I think you're fantastic. And all you have to do is answer their questions and they put together the piece, right? Again, minimal showing up. Again, minimum work on your part, right? All you need to do is probably submit maybe a picture or two to answer some questions and they put together a really beautiful piece, right? Then there is a roundup interview. So a roundup interview is like 12 entrepreneurs talk about what they do to maintain productivity, right? All you have to do is answer that question. As a matter of fact, the second time I got into Forbes, it was because it was right after the whole slap with Will Smith and all that craziness. And they were reaching out to publicists to ask what should be Will Smith's next step. And that's all I had to do. I just literally had to answer this question, what I think Will Smith should do. And I was featured in Forbes, and I was among other publicists who also had their 2 cents to put in, right? A roundup interview is so easy. You just have to answer a question from your heart based on your expertise and your knowledge and your feature. Then we can do a radio or a podcast with the camera off. This is a really good option if you don't mind being heard, but you're not ready to be seen. You talk, you speak, you say what you have to say. Just make sure, you adjust your tone. You don't want to sound monotone. You don't want to sound boring, but you speak from your heart and you answer the questions and you have a conversation. And then there's obviously television or podcast with the camera on. This is lights, camera, action time. This is where you show up. You talk the good talk, you say what you have to say, and you shine. Now, I always say you can start where you're comfortable with. If you know you're not comfortable with TV, start with guest blogging, right? If you know you're not comfortable showing, speaking, maybe just do a roundup interview or have a magazine interview you, right? Start where you're most comfortable with. And then, of course, there's speaker. This is like the ultimate, right? This is not where you only show up, but you show up in person or you show up on a virtual space like I am right now, right? You get seen, you get heard, and you get to interact with people. This is where people get to know the real you. This is where people will be like, I think I like this person. I feel her vibe, right? Now, again, If you're not ready for this, you can work your way up to it, right? You don't have to reach to this destination if you're not ready. But ultimately, this is where you want to be. Yeah? Any questions, queries, comments, concerns thus far? Is this too much? Am I talking too fast? Let me know. Okay, thumbs up. Lovely. All right. So let's talk a little bit about messaging, right? Remember we talked about what am I going to say? Lights, camera, action, whatever. At the end of the day, what am I going to say? The question that you need to ask to answer that question is, at the end of the day, what do you want to be known for? A lot of my clients hate me when I ask them that because it forces them to dig deep, right? But it's true. At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, what do you want to be known for? What do you want to leave the audience with? What is the greatest takeaway? Because we are building something. We're not going to just do 1 or 2 interviews and be like, oh, well, I'm done. No, we're going to constantly build on that thing, right? What are you going to be an advocate for? Is it women's issues? Is it health issues, mental health issues? What do you want to be known for? Who do you want to be an advocate for? Right? And it may take some time, but when you figure it out, when you become purpose-led, as we say, right? It guides your direction. All of a sudden, you know where you have to show up and who you need to talk to. You want to help women, you know where you need to go. You want to help men, you know where you need to go. Once you understand what it is that you want to be known for, then it becomes easy where you want to show up. So these are some of the questions that you need to ask. Will it add value or will it improve their lives? Is what you're going to talk about add value to the listeners and or readers of the chosen media? Or are you just showing up for showing up's sake? Because if you're just showing up for showing up's sake, you're wasting time and you're wasting energy and you're wasting resources, right? You need to show up to the people that matter. The next question is it timely or relevant? Is there something that is trending? Is there something that is newsworthy that is happening right now that you can capitalize on? Last month was Mental Health Awareness Month. And my team and I, we put together a Unity Community Canvas project where we promoted healing through art, right? Healing through creativity. We had an artist, we had a dancer, we had spoken word. We brought the community together to open the discussion around mental health. Because in the Caribbean, there's still a lot of stigma around mental health, right? It was timely. What can you talk about? This month is Men's Health Month. If you want to talk to men, this is the ideal time to do it, right? This month is also Cancer Survivors Month. Do you want to work with cancer survivors? Excellent month to do so, right? So is what you're coming to talk about timely or relevant? Or if something is happening in the news, can you jump on it? The next question is, will it evoke an emotional response? You're not trying to be vanilla here. We're not trying to play it safe, right? The media wants engagement as much as you do. So you have to come with something that's going to spark a movement, spark an idea. Even if you agree, what is the angle that you're coming with that can help people understand what it is that you're saying? What you're talking about can't just be, as we say, blasé. It has to stand out. Your job is to stand out as much as possible, right? So what are you coming to talk about that's going to move people so that you could be memorable? Which brings me to the next point, is what you're going to come to talk about memorable. The media never dies. So you want to ensure the media always remembers you. You don't want to say something today and before you even finish your sentence, it's like, who is she? What is she talking about? No, you want to be able to, like, you know, when you have a song that you really like and it's stuck in your head and they call it like an earworm, that's what you want your audience to, like, your voice have to be like in their head like an earworm every minute, always talking to them because they were so moved by what it is that you had to share. And then last but not least, will it encourage some sort of discussion? At the end of the day, engagement is everything, right? People need to be talking about, we don't want generic comments like congratulations or good job or you're like, no, we want to have a conversation. This is a dialogue, not a monologue. I saw Andrea. Andrea, so do you have a question? Or am I
I
talking
do.
too fast?
No, you're not. It's actually perfect. But the last three questions actually made me think, I'm not sure how to frame this, but for me on social media, I see a rise in a lot of gimmicks. And I'm venturing into the YouTube space and it's saturated with gimmicks. How do you avoid, and I get it now because they're trying to do all of this, make it memorable, encourage discussion, evoke emotion, all that. But it seems like authenticity is no longer enough. In order for you to stand out even among the gimmicks, you have to kind of match the gimmick. So how do you avoid all of that? Do you get what I'm saying? And still answer these questions.
So I think I don't necessarily agree with that because you can tell when somebody's being inauthentic, even if it's a gimmick. Like you can tell if somebody like this is a genuine thing or this is ingenuine, even if it's a gimmick. Now, a lot of people jump on a trend, right? We call them bandwagoners here. Y'all have to forgive me, right? I have to go back to my culture. We call them bandwagoners, right? You jump on a bandwagon, right? But you can tell when somebody is a bandwagonist versus if it is that this is a genuine thing that they want to talk about, and maybe they're using the wrong platform or maybe they're using the wrong way to express it, right? You can tell. It's just a human thing. So, in as much as I understand what it is that you're saying, authenticity still rules. Because if it doesn't resonate with you, it means that it's inauthentic and you won't be able to say why it doesn't resonate with you. It just doesn't. And it doesn't because it's inauthentic. There are memes and jokes and stuff that resonate with us. Like I love these millennial like things that come out. Like I'm like, this is me because it resonates with me. But you can tell when somebody who is not a millennial tries to make a millennial joke, it's like it falls flat. Even if it's true, it falls flat because you don't know what we're dealing with, right? So just to answer your question, authenticity still rules. I think some people are more driven by strategy over authenticity. But there needs to be a marriage of the two. You have to have strategy and authenticity in order to really connect with your people. Yeah?
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So then you might be asking, well, Carla, it had nothing going on in my business. I had no event. I ain't launching a new thing. I had no master class. Nothing going on, right? Well, there are three ways that I believe that you can create buzz, even if you think nothing is going on in your business, right? And I'm using the term you think because there's always something going on in your business, right? So the first thing I would say is tell stories. The media is always looking for a feel-good, motivational story that they could share, right? As I mentioned, my stories always, we all have a lots of stories, eh? We have lots of stories. You have to figure out which stories resonate most, and we'll get to that later on, right? But I always tell the story about how difficult it was for me coming from a quote-unquote third world country as a woman of color in basically a white man's industry, right? It is unheard of. It is unheard of, right? And the different things that people of my own race or my own culture told me that I had to do. It is appalling when you look back at it, right? But there are other people who experience the same thing that I experienced. There were people who were in rooms and they were told that they didn't matter. They were told to shut up. They were not even listened to, right? And that happened to me. And because I am sharing my story, they resonate with me, right? So much so that people feel like they know me. I don't leave my house, unless I have to. It's a millennial thing. But when I do, people hail me out and be like, hey, Carly. And I'm like, I don't know you. But they know me. because of my stories and they feel like they know me. And from the time they call me Carly, I know it's from business because my name is Carla. Who know me know my name is Carla. From the time you call me Carly, I know it's because you see me on TV, you hear me on the radio, you saw me somewhere and you believe that my name is Carly. And that's fine. That's fine, right? But my point is they feel like they know me, and that's what you want. You want people to feel like they know the innermost parts of you. Remember, we talked about vulnerability, right? You're not sharing too much, but enough to motivate and inspire them. The next thing is trending topics. Is there something going on? Is there some hot topic, some drama? We call it bacchanal here. Is there some bacchanal going on right now that's relevant to your brand? Emphasis on relevance to your brand that will allow you to share your opinion. The reason I say relevant is because not every trending topic is a marketing opportunity for you to jump on. There are certain things, if it is not within your platform, if it's not something that's near and dear to you or your audience, you need to stay away from. That's what causes crises in a lot of companies. When you start to get into things that doesn't make sense for you. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you a local example, right? There was a case here in Trinidad and Tobago. It was like a huge case. And this young lady had gone missing. And everybody was like, oh, they need to find her and bring her home, right? It was one of those rare things where she was just coming home from work and she went missing and nobody knew what happened to her, right? She was eventually found, right?
What?
Sorry about that. She was eventually found, right? But while she was missing, people were putting out all these different things. And there was this person who, sorry, yeah, there was this person who, she had a wedding dress shop. That was it. She had a wedding dress shop. And I remember she put out a post on social media saying, please come back home so your dad could walk you down the aisle in one of our dresses. That was it. And that was such an uproar because everybody's talking about this missing girl and hoping she comes home, but you saw it as a marketing opportunity for your brand, right? You don't do that. You don't do that. That's cause for I can't even describe to you how terrible that was. And a lot of business owners, I mean, that's an extreme example, but that's just an example of jumping on a marketing opportunity that you have no business jumping on. It doesn't make sense for your brand. Yes, everybody was talking about it. Yes, there was a hashtag that was being used, but you don't jump on that to try and promote your brand. Yeah, and as I said, she was found, everything was fine, but it was a serious thing. So not every trending topic is an opportunity for you, but you have to be very discerning in terms of what you jump on. You have to be clear on what you want to be known for, so you will know which trending topics you will want to jump on. The last T is thought leadership. I know we hear this term a lot, right? Note, you cannot call yourself a thought leader. Other people have to call you a thought leader, right? So if you're calling yourself a thought leader, you are not, right? However, if there's something that's happening that violates your values or you feel compelled to talk about, then you need to become the voice of your people. That elevates you to thought leadership, right? So if you have nothing going on in your business, you're not launching nothing, no event, nothing, telling stories, trending topics as it relates to your brand, and becoming a thought leader in terms of speaking up for whomever or whatever the situation might be. These are ways that you can continuously be in the media, continuously be seen, continuously show up, right? To the point where people have no choice but to sit up and take notice. So let's get our publicity on, shall we? Any questions thus far? No? Are we good? Are we good? We're trying to read the faces. I
do.
see Karen is like shaking her head. Brittany
Hey,
is
Carla.
waving to me. Hi.
I got a question because you were talking about not sharing all of your business, but sharing enough. And so, like in my story, a lot of, I guess, the mess that I have is like things that people, like it catches people off guard because no one talks about it, particularly like Black women when it comes to like child loss, right? I had twins that I lost at 20 weeks, and like I'm sitting in support groups and no one looks like me. And so as I'm talking to the hairstylist, they're like, girl, we don't talk about that stuff. We just talk to our mom. And like when people ask me like how many kids I have, I always talk about the angel babies that I have too. So it's kind of like I'm being vulnerable, but my audience is like, oh, you're doing too much, right? So how do you kind of, I guess, draw the line between enough and just knowing, okay, y'all not my people. I just need to go somewhere else.
Okay, so we will get to that in a minute. But I want to ask, how do you know that they're your people? Or do you want them to be your people?
I don't think I think about it that much. I think I'm just being myself.
Right. Which is
And
good,
so
right? But these people that don't vibe with you, how do you know that they're your people?
I don't
It,
know.
that's a very, just because you all share skin color doesn't mean that those are your people, huh?
Mm.
So, I mean, you have to think about that. I'm not saying that they're not. I'm just
Right.
trying to figure out why you qualified them as your people. Why did you claim them? They didn't claim you. So why
Just
did you claim them?
mutual surroundings, or just, relationship that you have with people through the years, being in a workplace, or just common interests. So I guess that's maybe what I'm alluding to when I say my people, of like, these my sisters in Christ, like we all the
And
same.
nothing is wrong with that. There's a book. Oh gosh, what is it? Professional Troublemaker by Lovey. I don't know if you all read that book, and she talks about like the 5 different types of friends that you have. Like, it's okay to have different categories of friends, and there's okay to talk, certain things with certain people and keep certain things away from other people. But we have to be very clear that we don't mix matters, because it's okay if they're your people, but they may not be your business people, right? Or they may not be your people that you can share those types of things. It might be people that you want to go out with, we call it Lyman here in Trinidad. You guys probably call it social gathering, happy hours, cocktails, whatever you all call it. They may be good for that. And that's fine, right? Stretch relief, that's fine, right? But the deep things, those are not your people. Because I'm pretty sure that there are people that share your skin color that will be very happy to cry on your shoulder, because they have been keeping it inside for God knows how long, because they haven't found their people as yet. So you have to just keep that in mind. Yeah. I don't know who's talking. Hello? Okay. All right. So let's get our publicity on. Again, if this is too much, please let me know. All right. So let's look at sourcing the right media. Let's look at how do we source the right media, right? Look for the ones that are close to home, local, regional, community, state. Like, we often overlook local media because, oh, it's too small. But sometimes starting there works, right? It gives you the practice for the bigger interviews, right? Also, start niche. Start where your people are. You don't need to be to everybody. You just need to matter to the people that matter, right? So be very niche and be very selective. We're not trying to be everywhere, right? And look for the people who you admire. Who do you look up to? And where were they featured? And you can check their website. I'm pretty sure most of them have press pages. Google is a thing. We can use Google. Like, where have these people been featured, right? And then send a pitch, and we'll talk about pitching in a minute, right? But send a pitch saying that, you know, I noticed that you've interviewed this person, I admire her, and what do you know? We share the same audience, we talk about the same things. I want you to interview me as well, right? Long story. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but right, basically that's how you do it, right? And there are some free or low cost tools. There's Haro, Help a Reporter Out. Now, Haro recently changed. They used to send emails to your inbox 3 times a day, Monday to Friday, except for holidays. But they have phased that out, and now you have to log in to Xeon in order to get those to get it. But so what it is that there are journalists all over the world, and they're always looking for people to feature for different things, and they have it in different categories. There's business, there's beauty, there's education, there are all these different things, right? So I would strongly, it's still free, right? There's still a free version of it, but you just have to sign up for it. And then you have to remember to log in from time to time, because they don't send it to your inbox at all anymore.
Yes,
Yeah.
She embarrassed herself. Cherries everywhere. Oh, could you raise the
So as I mentioned before, if your mic is unmuted, it's because you want to ask me a question, right? So I expect a question when the mic's unmuted, right? All right, another one is journal request. So journal request, again, you used to send emails to your inbox. It was you sign up and send email, and it was once a day, right? But now you have to log in to Twitter, well, X, formerly Twitter, using the hashtag journal request and search. And you'll see, again, journalists from all over the world want to interview you for different things. You can sort it by latest, right? And then you just basically reply to them saying that you're interested, right? Typically, they would put an email address, so you might want to send an email pitch, or you can DM them. They will give the instructions in the tweet, right? Do we still say tweet? I'll use tweet, right? There's Quoted, Muckrack, which are paid services. I think Quoted is daily. Muckrack, you have to subscribe and log into. Radio Guest List, I believe there's a free version and a paid version. The free version sends you emails once a week. The paid version, I think, sends you emails 3 times a week. There's podcast list. Editorial was a really nice one. It used to be free. It was very similar to Haro, but now you have to pay for it, but I don't know how much you have to pay for it. But the editorial is strictly for the UK, whereas the others are global. Editorial is UK based only, right? But again, journalists asking, hey, I want to feature you in this. I want to talk about this. I'm looking for experts on this. And you just literally send a pitch saying that you want to be featured. Another way is to get featured is you have to plan ahead, right? You grab your publicity calendar, a calendar that really, so this is shameless plug here, right? So this is a publicity calendar that I created. Okay, you all see in my face, right? So this is a publicity calendar that I created, and it literally tells you. So for example, January is Veganuary. So if you want to target vegans, January is your month. May is Female Founders Month. So if you're a female entrepreneur, May is definitely time to shop. So it literally tells you all the different special occasions, all the special months, and it gives you all the different special occasions. If it's Cinco de Mayo, St. Patrick's Day, and it's broken out by month, right? Because what happens is that sometimes there's a platform that we want to jump on. If it's Alzheimer's, if it's mental health, whatever it may be, and we don't plan ahead, and then all of a sudden that month or that special day is upon us, and it's like, oh, shucks. If we did only know, if we had only remembered, then we could have done something big. So the publicity calendar helps you plan all those things. And this, I live by this. So this one is my last year on 2023, and I did one for 2024. I literally do a calendar every year. But if you, if you want to invest in the calendar, it's fine, but you can actually access these special dates for free. There's dateandtime.com. There's also month.com, is it? Just 1 second. daysoftheyear.com, dateandtime.com, nationaltoday.com. These are sites that you can visit and it can help you plan the month. So if you want everything at your fingertips, the calendar is available, but you can also Google these sites and they'll tell you exactly. You can actually plan ahead, right? Again, if you know what you want to be known for, then you know what months you need to show up based on what are the special occasions, right? So a publicity calendar tells you what types of media outlets you want to contact, how you will attract the publicity attention, and when the contact should take place. So for example, if you want to get into a magazine for Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May, you have to send that pitch no later than January because there's a whole process. They have to, interview you. Well, first they have to vet you, then they have to interview you, and it's a process. Versus if you want TV or radio, let's use Mental Health Month again, which is May. If you want to get featured in TV or radio, you may have to send the pitch by March, right? Shorter turnaround time, right? But if you plan ahead, then you will know when you need to send out those pitches. And you can plan your calendar monthly, bi-monthly. I plan 18 months in advance only because it's me and I have no choice. And I have to plan also for my clients too, which is why my calendar always comes out like October of the previous year. But you don't have to be as crazy as me. You can plan like 6 months in advance and or every quarter. You can plan every quarter, right? But if you're planning every quarter, technically Q4 should be done by Q3, right? Don't do Q4 and Q4. That it wouldn't work that way. Yeah. So let's talk about pitching. Now I could talk all day about pitching because it's literally what I do. Pitching is an art form. I'm not gonna lie. The normal industry rate for successful pitches, I think.
When I'm trading, what 1 second?
Yeah. The normal success rate for pitching is, I think, 40%, and I'm at 80% because there is a art form to it, right? But you just need to start, right? I have had people who have zero experience who have used these tips and they've gotten featured. So to answer the question from before, from Brittany, what stories to tell? Go for the lean in stories. So you ever had a story that somebody's telling you and you really don't care? Arms folded, body language, eyes glazed over. Yeah. Once you see those happening, that means that the person is not interested in your story. So you need to change your story, right? Go for the stories that make people literally lean into you, hunched over, can't wait for you to tell them more. Sometimes you might have a story that might be great for you, but they're not interested. You need to switch it up or you need to switch out the people. Yeah. Make sure it's timely, right? Timely on news hook, relevant to the outlet. Align your pitch with what is currently happening. Use your publicity calendar, right? This month is Men's Health Month. I literally got my client featured on TV this morning using the fact that it's Men's Health Month and men's mental health should not be overlooked, right? I even gave them some stats that they can use and interview with. Yeah. So align your pitch with whatever is going on and sell the topic first and not yourself. So the show's producers care about their viewers more than they care about you, right? So if they are interested in the content that is being offered to them they are interested in the content that's being offered to them over the person providing the material. So is what you're coming to talk about going to motivate, inspire, and educate these people? You are an expert in whatever you're an expert in, but is what you're coming to talk about going to move their people, right? So sell the topic first, sell the transformation that the audience will receive. And then start to talk about, you was featured here, you did this, you got this certificate. Like, that's at the end of the story, right? As a matter of fact, most of my pitches are like that. I sell whatever the topic and the transformation, and then at the bottom I put like a bit about me or a bit about the client, right? Create conflict or controversy. Remember, we talked about being vanilla. We don't want to be vanilla. Take stand in what you believe in and really push your point of view without being too confrontational about it, right? We want people to remember you. We want people to remember your point of view. We want people to remember what it is that you have to say, right? We don't want to cause a drama, but we want to cause enough drama that people will remember you and be like, hey, remember when Cherie was talking about this? So yeah, she made a lot of sense. That's what we want, right? Bolster your claim with stats, facts, and figures. As I mentioned just now with my clients earlier, I use stats with men's health and how many men commit suicide per year and all of these types of things. They love that, right? The media people, they're not necessarily lazy, they're overwhelmed. So if you can make their job as easy as possible, the feature writes itself, right? And provide talking points. Producers love it when you already write the segment for them. So take a step back when writing your pitch and put yourself in the audience mindset. What would make them lean into whatever it is that you're coming to talk about? Yeah? So just to recap, one, we're definitely going to source the right media. Once you know your goals, once you know who you're going to talk about, you can choose the media that are aligned with your values. You can choose one that can help you achieve your goals and can reach a specific target, right? Start with the ones that you're familiar with. Start with the ones in your local area. Start with the ones that are within grabbing distance, as we say, right? Plan ahead, use your calendar, right? Be sure your story is timely. Pitch something that's happening, which is currently in season, as it relates to your brand, right? And use the publicity calendar to help you plan ahead and then have patience as you follow up, have patience with your lead times. It's a process, right? You are building momentum over time. And then create a pitch, create a story. Say it while their listeners, their readers, their community should even hear what it is that you have to say. Will it solve a problem? Will it shed light on an important issue? Or will it highlight you or somebody you know doing something fantastic? So now we get seen, we get heard. Time to get paid, right? I mean, we ain't doing all of this for thanks, right? We're doing this to make some money so that we can help even more people. At the end of the day, the goal is to help more people. So this is my money moves. This is all about leveraging. How do you take that interview? How do you take that Forbes interview, that entrepreneur, that social media live? How do you make it into something that can generate wealth for you, right? So the first thing I tell people to do is share it on social media, right? Add some substance to your social media. It's all about being social on social media, right? So share it both to your business and your personal page. Share it. Talk about what you love, the biggest takeaway, how you felt, especially if it was your first interview, how you felt, right? The behind the scenes, right? Pull out different captions, cut up your longer videos into shorter points, right? Pull out salient points, pull out quotes, right, that people can use. There's a particular quote that I use that people love to use. Publicity is the publicity is where you get seen and heard. Public relations is how you get paid, right? People love that quote. And I actually just said that by accident one time, but people love it, right? But pull out quotes, use pictures of yourself and slap the logo on it, right? Remember, media never dies. I have been in Forbes twice, right? If I post something on social media today, by tomorrow it's gone. But I will always and forever be known as the person who was in Forbes twice. So I can reshare Forbes every time and will always show up to a new audience, right? And being in the media adds credibility. So sometimes, you might be resharing the same PR piece over and over, but because you're sharing it in different ways, people think it's multiple things, right? It's smoke and mirrors, but it works. So share as much as possible, tag the reporter and the media where possible. It will be a great thank you. They don't have to say yes, but the fact that they did say yes, you can definitely, say thanks and ask your audience to share your content. Most of them do, right? You will have the haters that won't, but most of them do. But the good thing about haters though is that they may not share your content, but they're still looking and it will add to your views. So don't even worry about it. Yeah. Number 2, add your media logos to all your digital content. Have a website, put as seen on, right? Have emails, put it in your headers, put your logos in your header. You're launching a masterclass, you're having an event, whatever, put your logo. Let me tell you, subconsciously, people are drawn to individuals that have gotten that third party endorsement through the media. Subconsciously, you are seen as a better, more knowledgeable person because you're not just some person that have a device and an internet connection talking. You have been endorsed by this newspaper, by this magazine, by this radio, by this podcast, right? Put in those logos and think about it yourself, right? Imagine you had 2 coaches, right? 2 coaches that you could have chosen to work with. One has a generic website, fabulous looking. The other one has a generic, fabulous looking website, but they have a little spot that says as seen on, and it just has a list of places that they've been featured, right? Even if some of them are unknown to you, you are drawn to that page because your mind tells you that if this person has been featured, it means that they have something important to say, right? You have to play on that, right? Any speaking engagement, your speaker sheets, if you want to get into speaking, training, workshops, anything, use the logos. You don't have to use all. If you have a lot, like I have too many, but you use the ones that are relevant, right, to your audience. Run paid brand awareness ads. So I always recommend that you run ads to your content, particularly where the community where you're being featured. So for me, for example, I am based in Trinidad and Tobago. If I get featured in St. Lucia, I run an ad in St. Lucia. If I get featured in Barbados, I run an ad in Barbados because I want the people from that country to see that their media has interviewed me because I'm important with something worthy to say. You have to think the same way. So you live in Houston, Texas, but you get featured in Miami, Florida. Run some ads in Miami, Florida. Let those people see that even though you're from Texas, Miami wants to hear what it does, what you have to say, right? You don't have to do this all the time. You can do it from time to time, right? As it relates to your brand and the audience you're trying to reach, right? Pro tip, create a media page on your website. So if you have a website, it's always good to have a media page that is simply dedicated to housing all of these links and interviews. Reason being is when you do the ad, or even if you post on social media, you can drive people back to your website rather than drive them to somebody else's site where your interview might be housed. It helps with obviously visibility for you and hits to your website, right? Now, again, you don't have to do this tomorrow or this weekend, right? This happens over time. So as you gain more and more interviews, develop a website if you have not already done so, but create a media page with all of these things in it. And also when you are ready to speak, if you want to be hosting a workshop, hosting anything, people will want samples of you speaking. Send them to that page, right? If you have a YouTube channel and you've done a lot of, recording, have a playlist dedicated to interviews. Drive people to that playlist who want to book you to do a workshop, a program, whatever, keynote speaker, whatever. Drive them there so they can see you in action, right? Even if you don't have a website, drive them to something that belongs to you, where they can see you. And of course, repurpose content. For every single feature interview that goes live, take screenshots. Oh, screenshots are important, guys, because a lot of people websites go down, right? Or sometimes they archive old features and you can't find it again. I've had clients before who were featured multiple places, and then COVID happened and a lot of people sites went down and they lose all of those things. So take screenshots, save it in a folder, right? Repurpose and reshare from time to time. Google yourself. Sometimes you forget places that you've been featured. Google yourself. Whatever comes up, take a screenshot, right? And also think about additional ways that you can share your content through blogs, through videos, video series, reels, long story posts, quotes, what song bites, whatever it is. Think about different ways that you can share your content. Right now, it's a process, but all the interviews that I've ever done, I'm literally cutting them up into smaller pieces and using them throughout my social media, right? I don't even look the same anymore because those old interviews, my hair was like shorter and relaxed. So yeah, but I mean, it's me, so I'm going to use that. Next, number 4, investors and sponsors, right? Use media interviews to book sponsors for your business or your next event. By including this in your sponsorship decks, in your letters and proposals. These are the places that have been featured. Again, big businesses love to do business with people who they think are doing big things. And nothing screams that you're doing big things than being featured in the media. Nothing screams that. So put it in your proposal, right? Book your live demonstrations, your sampling to expos. Get your sponsors involved by letting them know that, you know, you're not playing small. And of course, increase your visibility. Book paid speaking gigs, book your workshops, book your keynote speaking engagements, right? Leverage your existing press to get even more press, right? Press loves press. So once you get one, other people will be calling you to be interviewed, and validate all your current offerings, as I mentioned. So whatever you might be offering, if it's an event, a masterclass, launching a new product, launching a new business, use your interviews to say, hey, remember me, I was featured. This is why you need to invest in me over lying through her teeth, Lucio process. Yeah? All right. How are we going? We good? Are we good? Is this too much? Tell me. Any questions, queries, comments, concerns? I'm seeing 48 comments in the chat. How are we doing? How do we feel? Am I making you all think on Friday afternoon? Am I making you all think a little too deeply on a Friday afternoon? If so, I apologize. Friday evening is not for thinking. Yeah? But at least y'all thinking in a good way. Any questions before we go into the bonus? No?
Ask a question. Do you prefer Carly or Carla?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter? Okay.
No.
As you're talking, I'm thinking about all, and I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but opportunities that you may have had in the past.
Mhm.
How would you advise someone to organize maybe things that they've done in the past that aren't organized the way that you're presenting it? Like someone who wants to be more intentional about this. Because I'm asking this question because I think about all the women in our community who have podcasts, who are constantly featured on podcasts. They have so many different things going on. They host conferences, they speak at conferences. So if it hasn't been very organized, what's your advice for that person?
So a lot of these people that we see doing all these big things is because they have a team, right? If you don't have a team, I suggest you get one. But in the interim, you have to do things yourself. So planning as much as possible helps. You don't have to be everywhere, and you don't have to be seen all the time. You just have to be strategic, right? And you have to be intentional. So if there's a particular magazine, so let's go back to Brittany. right? Brittany was brave enough to talk about her story, right? And let's say she wants to be an advocate for women who have miscarried, right? Black women who have this, women of color who have been who've miscarried, right? You don't need to be in a Forbes just yet. Maybe Forbes woman, but you don't need to be in a Forbes just yet. You don't need to be in an entrepreneur magazine just yet. But maybe a woman's magazine, a woman's health magazine, right? Or maybe there's a newspaper that has a special supplement that they bring out every International Women's Day, let's just say, right? Or Mother's Day. Let's not forget the moms who with their angels, something along those lines, right? That's where you need to show up. So even if you don't show up 6 months out of the year, there are 3 months that you know you need to show up, which is May, March, and I guess the anniversary of when you lost your children, right? Those are the times that you should show up. So if you don't have a team, you have to be strategic with what it is that you do. And once you get featured, as I mentioned before, you can repurpose that a million times. That media never dies. And you can talk about the feature itself. You could talk about how you felt in the feature. You could talk about how you felt sharing your story. You could talk about behind the scenes as you prepared for the interview. You can talk about it a million different ways. You just have to be very open as to how it is that you do it. Or very strategic, sorry, about how it is that you do it. So don't allow what other people are telling you on social media is true if it's not true for you. Make it your own and be where you need to be, wherever you need to be. You just need to be where your people are. Yeah? Any other questions?
Carla. Hi, Carla. This is Monique.
Hi, Monique.
Hi. I guess I interpreted Andrina's question as how do you keep your features organized? Andrina, was that where you were asking?
Sort of. Thank you, Monique.
Okay.
I was asking for, and you kind of touched on this, Carla, but if someone, let's say someone has been doing some of these things that you've recommended, but there was no rhythm or organization to it, and all of a sudden they're obviously in this workshop and saying, well, I want to be more intentional about getting my brand out there. What do they do with all the stuff in their archives? Where do they start if it's kind of just been a random activity for them?
But in as much as it was random, there must be some salvageable content, right? So for me, using myself as an example, when I first started, anywhere that said yes, I was there, right? I was not as intentional as I am now, because my job was to be visible. But if I did, let's say an hour long or 20 minutes, not an hour too much. Let's say I did a 20-minute interview. There must be something within that 20-minute interview that I can pull where I can say, oh, now I focus on women entrepreneurs. I must have mentioned it somewhere, because even if I didn't know at the time what it is that I wanted to be known for, it was in me. I was still being my authentic self. So there must be something salvageable that I can use. Or let's say there's nothing salvageable that I can use. Let's say I was talking something completely outside the realm of reality. I can still say that I was featured. I can still take a picture of myself and slap a logo on it and say, I remember the time that I was featured in whatever magazine, and I talked about X, Y, and Z. And was I totally misguided? Because now this is my focus, right? I have said that I've been interviewed, but I'm also saying that I was misguided in that interview because I wasn't focused, I wasn't this, I wasn't that. And therefore now I want to talk about this. Or I could just talk about the experience. I could talk about anything. The fact is that I was featured. Now, to answer Monique in terms of archiving, or I would say, at least what has worked for me, I save everything. So I save links. I open a folder. I save screenshots. I download any interview that I have done. If it's on somebody else's platform, I download it onto my laptop and I save it in a folder. I may upload it onto YouTube. I used to have it on my website, but I've put most of my video interviews on YouTube now, and I created a playlist. But I don't if I had a choice, I don't let them keep the links to their interviews. I keep it for myself because I want to be able to know that I can use this at some point in the future. It's harder for online forums because I mean it's online and you can't necessarily download it. That's why I take screenshots or I will pull quotes or I might do both. But I keep everything structured and I keep it structured by year because I actually get featured a lot. Obviously because of my job, right? So I would have, okay, 2021, 2022 moving forward. You don't have to do that. But what you could probably do is, for example, if you have multiple people you want to talk to, right? You want to talk to women, you want to talk to entrepreneurs, like you can have it separated by that, or you can have it separated by electronic, podcast, TV versus print, magazine, and press, right? So you can choose whichever is good for you. But if you can download it and keep it for yourself, please do.
Yeah. I think what I'm hearing, is that it's never too late to go back and to repurpose whatever you've done in the past to be more intentional about the brand. So thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's get into some bonus training. Now, when I got to this point, I didn't know what direction to go with the bonus training. I said we could either go marketing and PR for introverts, depending on who was in the crowd, because most people identify as introverts, or I could do crisis training, right? So let's say some crazy person decide they're going to mess things up for you on social media. What do I do, right? That was the two. But I settled on marketing and PR. I settled on this because I figured, this would have been more motivational than the crisis management, which would be more information. And I didn't know if Friday evening too much information would have been too much. So I settled on this, but we can still have the discussion on crisis if we have time, right? Because it's pretty simple. But yeah, I wanted to do the marketing and PR for introverts. So the issue with introverts, I've worked with a lot. I am not one, right? I am not an introvert. I do understand you guys though. The protection of the energy is important. There are what I call energy drainers, energy suckers out there, which is why most of the times I don't leave the house because, you're not really gonna deal with them. But I get it, right? So this is what I call the fear family because it all comes down to fear. It all comes down to this thing inside of you that is telling you that you should not put yourself out there. So it's FOMO, fear of missing out. We do too much or we keep jumping from idea to idea and we do nothing in the process, right? So that's a mechanism, a coping mechanism that we have. Imposter syndrome. I am a sufferer of imposter syndrome, right? We talk ourselves out of greatness or we set ourselves up for failure, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. We say we can't do it, and then we create a scenario where we can't do it, right? Comparitis. I see this a lot with social media. We compare ourselves to other people that we have no business comparing ourselves to, and it throws us off. And it's easy to fall into that trap, right? Because if you think that somebody is doing better than you, or you think that this person should not be doing better than you because you have it in your head that you are better than them in terms of the services that you offer or how you treat your people, but they're seemingly doing better than you, it plays on your ego, right? And then you beat yourself up and then you don't want to do anything. Then there's perfectionism. A lot of women, we suffer with this. Everything has to be just this way before we start, and it's never perfect. I read years ago that the P in perfect stands for poison, and I live by that because it really can trip you up. getting everything exactly the way you want it. It never happens that way. Then there's analysis paralysis, or what I call being stuck in strategy. You keep planning and planning and planning, and there's never any execution, right? And then there's the disease to please. Again, the Achilles heel of most women. We want everybody to like us. We don't want everybody to be mad at us, right? So we say yes to a lot of things. We don't want to disappoint, right? So what happens is that we get overwhelmed and then we get burnt out. What also happens is that it allows people to take advantage of us, right? So we give, and not only do they take advantage of us, they get rude with it. They get entitled, then they get audacious, and then they get rude. Like, how dare you not do this thing for me for free? Like, who do you think you are? Meanwhile, they're paying what's her name? Mediocre Mandy over there, $10,000, right? And she ain't doing nothing, right? So let's move on from that. So we need to learn to flex our confidence muscle. I tell people this all the time. Confidence is not something that you ask for or you pray for and it just happens. Confidence comes from doing the little things over and over again. The things that seem difficult, the things that seem way out there, the things that seem scary, it comes from doing those little things over and over and over again until we develop the habit of doing it anyway. We will still be scared and nervous, but we do it anyway. When I got the email to be part of this, I was scared. All you feel because I was a publicist and I was informed that I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, but oh gosh, who these women are? What are they going to say? I don't want to embarrass myself. I go through the motions, like we all do. We all go through the motions. You are human, right? But you have to continuously do these little things. People talk a lot about confidence, but they don't talk about it as a process. It is a process and it is a journey, right? And you might look like you have yourself together and you probably don't because you are practicing becoming a better human being and a better person by flexing those confidence muscles, right? So for my introverts around us, you may be an introvert, but you don't have to be broke because of it. And I also want you to understand that quiet confidence is still confidence. So let's talk about the 6 ways to market yourself as an introvert in business. So I want you to tell yourself, when you care about yourself as much as you care about what others think, your life will change. I will say that again to people in the back. When you care about yourself as much as you care about what other people think, your life will change. We put too much stock in other people, what they might say, what they might do. And we talk ourselves off the ledge every time instead of jumping into what it is that we know we need to do. We have to stop putting stock in other people. I'm sure Beyonce does not care what other people think, right? And it's not because she's Beyonce. It's because she practiced this over the years. If you all are millennials like me, you all will remember Destiny's Child and all the heat that she took for Destiny's Child. I'm pretty sure there were nights that she cried long tears, but where is she now? Renaissance. Like, where is she now? Yeah? Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, where's my... Gosh, I can't find... Hold on. Let me stop share. So talk amongst yourselves. Any questions? My 6 steps just went missing.
If we were in church, we would say that ain't nothing but the devil, but it might just be a glitch. So
Yes, because
we
I
will give him the
had it.
credit.
You know, I know exactly where to go. I'm not even worried about it. I know exactly where to go. So
No worries.
devil is not tripping me up today. No, sir. So, people, any questions, queries, comments, concerns thus far? Anything you all want to share? Anybody left any questions, any comments that I can answer?
Can you put that slide back up?
Sorry, what slide?
The last slide that you had up about confidence.
Oh, hold on. 1 second now. Are y'all hearing that music? No, right? Y'all not hearing that, right? Y'all hearing it?
I can't hear that it's music, but I hear a little something.
Okay, good.
It's
Because
very faint though. It's not loud.
oh, good. Because level soca is lasting in the background. But if y'all can't hear it, it's fine. Right, 1 second, guys. Let me just pull up the 6 steps because I know I have it here. Right, here it is.
Okay.
Present. Present. Exit screen. Share screen. All right, y'all. Oh, here it is. Present. Present. Right. All right, I'll come back to that slide after because I had to pull this other document to go through the 6 steps to master yourself as an introvert, right? So, first thing is mindset reset. Remember we talked about seeing yourself as a superhero. Remember we talked about that, right? You have to see yourself the way other people see you, right? The ones who've been burned before, the ones who have no clue where they're going. You are somebody's Christmas present under the tree. You are on somebody's wish list. You have to envision yourself as a superhero, and your sole purpose is to rescue people who are in distress. Because you need to understand that once people meet you, their stress disappears. They've been searching for you forever, right? And they finally see the light at the end of the proverbial tunnel because they've been searching for you for so long and they finally found you. So definitely change that mindset. Also, number 2, build relationships one step at a time. You've got to protect your energy. You have to walk into a room and not see the whole room as a daunting task. Have a goal in mind, seek out that person, connect with that person, and go with the flow. Sometimes when you walk into a room, you focus on how am I going to make this person my client? No. How are we going to collaborate? And what is this relationship going to look like? Sometimes the relationship may not be a client relationship. Maybe the relationship might be a business bestie that you can, de-stress with, right? But you have to you cannot overwhelm yourself. You have to look at building those relationships one step at a time. Look at simple but small strategies. Don't look at the whole picture, but see that promoting your brand as a series of small but strategic steps, right? Looking at the big picture could be a little too much. Dwelling on this can make the task seem a little too daunting. So break things down into simple, small, but strategic steps. But most of all, stick with it, right? Nothing good happens if you just do something one. You have to keep doing it over and over and over again. Set reminders often. I have to do this all the time because I suffer from imposter syndrome. But you have to remember that you're fantastic and you're fabulous. You have to remember that. And if you had to tell yourself that, then no problem. We have this problem praising ourselves, right? We need to stop that, right? There are people out there who love you, who can't stop talking about you and the good work that you do, who can't believe that they've been so fortunate to have met you in their lives, right? You need to focus on that, right? Not the people who can't stand you. And even those people who can't stand you, they're still around, right? They're still there. They're still, looking. So you have to remind yourself. I love to Google myself. I don't care if you call me a narcissist. I love to Google myself because I think sometimes I forget. Google never forgets. And I'll be like, oh gosh, yes, I remember when I did this for this person. I remember when I did that. Or I remember this newspaper said this or this interviewer said that. You have to remind yourself often, right? Especially when you're feeling down. Comfort is key. It may seem unimportant, but when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, the more you'll be ready to show up. Rachel Rogers, in her book, We Should All Be Millionaires, she said one simple trip to the hairdresser, made her so many millions of dollars because she was frustrating over her hair and it wasn't looking good. And then when she walked out of the salon, she felt so good. She felt so empowered, so confident. She got on the phone, she sent the email, whatever, she started making money. And it's true, right? So take care of yourself, eat healthy, move your body, right? I mean, I shouldn't be the one telling you to move your body because I don't move it. I don't but move your body, invest in yourself, clothes, hair, makeup. I was one of those people that I would not buy clothes until I need it. And because of my body shape, I would have to take whatever I got. But at the end of the day, I realized, no, you don't need to wait for a special occasion to buy something that you like. Just buy it and the opportunities will present itself. And that's literally what has happened to me, right? So invest in yourself and take care of yourself. Feel as confident as you look in the mirror and put yourself in a winning frame of mind, right? We're not trying to impress anyone. We're just simply trying to be ourselves. Knowledge is power, very important. A lot of us feel we can't speak up or we shouldn't talk because we don't know. Then get the books, attend the webinars, do the master classes, attend the workshops, right? Expand your knowledge, read more. How many of you all read? Right? I try to do one book a month. Read, right? And read good books, right? I love autobiographies. I love business books, self-help books. I love those types of books. But read, it really helps, right? Beware of infobesity, too much information or analysis paralysis where you get stuck in strategy. As you attend these webinars, masterclasses, and workshops, take one thing and start to put it into action. Whatever that one thing might be, take it and put it into action, right? Because the more you know, is the more confidence you will feel. Right. So I'm going to stop, share this, and I'm going to go back to my original presentation. Right. So this is the original presentation. Right. So you all were asking about this slide. Was it this slide? Was it?
It was the
Back-
one about the introvert, like the 6 steps for an introvert, and it was the very next slide. It had like a quote. Yep,
Oh,
that one right
this
there.
was, yes.
Perfecto.
So yes, let this soothe you because it's true. We put too many stock in what other people say about us and not enough on what we know we need to do. Yeah. So we went through the 6 steps, which is your bonus. So these are the next steps, right? The fact is the media is always looking for people to interview, right? They need you as much as you need them. And that's a fact, right? Your knowledge, your expertise, it is required. So you definitely need to put yourself out there, get your ideas in front of the right people, stand out from the crowd, stop trying to fight up with the algorithm. The algorithm does not love you, right? Connect with people and help people, right? Help people. You need to become the go-to expert in your field and achieve your goal. Our goal is to create history, build legacy, and prosper financially as women, Christian women, minority Christian women. So your goal at the end of this all is to go from invisible to invincible. You definitely need to get featured today. I urge you, pick up that phone, send that pitch, get featured today. And this is a quote that I always end my workshops on. There's no transformation, in information, only in action. You cannot make the kind of strides that you want. You cannot make the kind of moves that you want by just consuming information. You have to put it out there. You have to do something, right? And at the end of the day, what is it saying? Imperfect action is better than what is it? I can't remember the saying, but basically, you have to start doing things. Put yourself out there. Fail, but fail forward. Learn what you need to learn and go back to the drawing board. It does not make sense just sticking with things and just frustrating yourself. Make those moves if you want to make that transformation, right? So if you guys want to connect with me more, I'm everywhere at Carly Communications. You can look me up. Yeah, that brings us to the end of me. So questions. I know y'all are just dying to ask me some questions, but dying. And if you guys want to go through the crisis, we can do that. If I mean, it's not going to be very long, but I mean, it's up to you.
I have a question. Of course I do.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier that one of your recommendations for someone being more intentional is to have a team.
Yes.
What if they're limited by budget or they're limited by capacity? Maybe they're still working a full-time job. And so they want to pursue this, obviously, but maybe there's not as much time. What would you recommend that they do to start with that team? Is there one specific role that they need to fill? What's your recommendation?
I think
If someone wants, yeah.
I think every business owner needs to start with a virtual assistant, especially if you're working a full-time job and your business is a side hustle. You're gonna need somebody during working hours to make calls, send emails, follow up, those types of things, and that's their job, right? To do the administrative stuff. There are also going to be things that you don't like to do that you have to do that you can get them to do for you. So I hate phone calls, right? I hate anything where I have to like make the initial connection. Like, no, I wanna come in after the connection is made and do the meeting. I don't want to make the initial connection. And here in the Caribbean, we are not as quick to respond as we should. So sometimes the follow-up process can take like months sometimes, right? I need somebody who can do that. I don't have the kind of time to do that. In terms of how can you afford that person? So there are two ways. You can do the intern, right? Where you basically get somebody and train them and they know that they're not working for money, but they're working for the experience. Or, and this is something that I share with my clients, like you can get a VA, but let them work a specific number of hours doing a specific task. So I had a client, her business was distributing of beauty products. And one of the things that she had to do was pack all these boxes every month as the orders came in. And I said, why don't you get an assistant and let her work? If it's 5 hours a month or 3 hours a month, her job is just to pack boxes for that day. And that frees you up to do other things. And it worked for her, and it didn't cost her that much because the person was only working for that specific amount. So she was actually making enough money by having the virtual assistant. She was making enough money that she could have paid the virtual assistant, and she was freeing up her time to bring in more business, right? So those are the two ways. It's really up to you depending on your financial situation. But know when you do get the help, the money will come to pay for the help. Any other questions? You'll have me for half an hour again. Karen, I keep watching you and you keep shaking your head at everything. You keep shaking your head at everything. So I know what I'm saying is like somewhere in there you're like taking in everything.
Yes, it was really great. My question is, I deal with colorism, so it is more of a social issue. So what are your recommendations when you're talking about social issues and being able to try to get publicity for things that can be sensitive to talk about and are also social issues?
So remember we said that we want to stand out, right? We want, in your case, it would be to build thought leadership because you're going to be speaking out on a particular issue. What you need to do is start with your audience. And for you, in addition to getting into the right PR and publications, you need to be on some stages. Like you need to speak more. You can't be, I mean, you could be on social media talking about it because it's important to be spoken about, but people need to see you and hear you so that your message can resonate with them. And the best way for you to do that is face-to-face conversations. So I would strongly suggest more speaking engagements and go where your audience is, because what you need to do is build a tribe so that they could be advocates for you. So you don't have to do all the heavy lifting all the time. Start with the people who follow you, who understand you, who appreciate you. Build that force, and then you can start to tackle the real issues because you have an army behind you.
Right. And I have a short film that I do, and after the film, I do conversations on colorism. So I'm really trying to be able to do speaking and to do the film and conversations with colleges and universities and businesses and things like that because of the social impact of colorism. I found that when I'm reaching out to the media, that they don't really seem to be all that interested in colorism.
It depends on how the pitch is done. So
Good point. Good point.
okay, so your platform is colorism. What about colorism do you want to talk about? What specifically?
Specifically about darker skinned Black women understanding and knowing that they are beautiful. That just because you're light skinned doesn't mean you're not beautiful.
Who are you pitching to?
Well, I tried local media here in Philadelphia. I'm in Philadelphia, which is, Philadelphia is like a major market. So it's a little more difficult, I think, when you're pitching to media in major markets.
Mm-hmm.
I think. Now, I could be wrong about that, but I think that, when you're in cities that are major markets, it's a lot more difficult to pitch. I've tried radio stations, and I've even tried some of the local news, like we have, like, how can I put it? It's like, it's not the major news, but like local news stories where they do stories on local people that are doing certain things. So I've tried that. Now, it could be you're right, it's probably the pitch, that my pitch probably needs to be more, I don't know, engaging or not as serious. I'm a very serious person, so lots of times and colorism is a serious issue. So I probably need to try to do it in a different way.
When you pitch, do you talk about how is the pitch structured? Is it structured the way I suggested, which is this is the situation, this is the transformation your audience can receive, and then this is who I am? Or do you talk about yourself first?
No, I don't talk about myself first. I do talk about the issue of colorism, how it's affecting us in our communities, that it's not just in the Black community, but it's in all communities of color, all countries of color, and that even our young children are still coming up being bullied and not really understanding the beauty of darker skin. And then my conversations on colorism talk about colorism. And we also talk, because the film talks about not just darker skinned women, but the residual effects of colorism on light skinned women. So I do cover a lot when I'm talking about colorism and the film and the conversations. So maybe I just need to kind of narrow it down to one thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. One thing, and what is the takeaway for the audience? Like, what the listening public or the viewing public, what is the biggest takeaway for them? Remember, it's not about you, it's about them, right? And the media house is acutely aware that they need to put out content that is going to motivate, educate, or inspire their audience, right? And even though it's a serious topic, it doesn't have to come across in a serious way, right?
I'm a serious person. I'm working.
Right. And no, being serious is not the issue, right? But
Right.
tone is everything, right? tone is everything. So you don't want your seriousness to come across as harsh. You can be serious, but you don't need to be harsh. So you have to be very wary of that. So adjust the tone of your pitch and talk more about what the audience is going to get from
Okay.
your discussion and make it timely, right? So August, let me see, hold on. I have to consult my Bible, right? So there must be a time of the year where this would be a good topic to discuss, right? So Black History Month, obviously, for February. Women's History Month is in March. Celebrate Diversity Month is in April.
Mhm.
May is, okay, no, hold on. What month we're in? We're in June now, right? So June is Black Music Month. Talk about beautiful Black music artists and talk, yeah, try and figure out a way to work in Black music into what it is that what it is they want to talk about. Well, June is almost over, so we have July, August. August is Black Business Month. Talk about Black business owners.
Okay.
Right? So go to the websites I had, so timeanddate.com. What did I say it was? Timeanddate.com. Hold on. Daysoftheyear.com, national dates, nationaltoday.com. Check those websites and see when would be best for you to talk about that. Because timeliness is also everything. Right?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, honey.
Can I add something? So Karen, obviously I'm a dark-skinned woman. And for me, there have been different platforms that I've engaged with based on what their content is and where my headspace is. So there's a lot of trauma like associated with colorism for me growing up. So I guess depending on what the offer is, whether it's empowering Black women or whether it's discussing colorism in an informative or educational way, that if I'm your potential customer, that is always helpful to me. You know, like figuring out like what's the tone of this offering? Because if it's about discussing colorism, then that means that I will have to discuss trauma. And if I have to discuss trauma, then I would only do that in a community that I feel like appears safe and doesn't feed any anger or associated with that trauma. So I'm saying all of that to say, to echo from a consumer's point what Carla is saying, like the context of the offering around colorism for me as a dark-skinned woman would matter.
Right. Well, we do always say that it's a safe space, and I don't do any recording when I do these things. So it is a safe space, and people will open up. Many times people will open up and share their experiences. I've really had the opportunity to have women really open up and share their experiences, but it also does revolve around the education of where colorism came from and why, from slavery, and why it was instituted about dividing us, another means to divide and separate us by color. And so we do talk about the educational part of it, about where it started and, how it also continues to affect us, is affecting our community. So we kind of leave it so that people can have an open space, because it is traumatic. It's very traumatic. It's a lot of trauma behind, a lot of hurt and trauma behind colorism for a lot of women. So we do talk about the safe space to be able to do that.
I think depending on the room that you're in, depending on the media that you choose, you will have to switch up the conversation just a bit to speak directly to that audience and what they would want to hear as it pertains to colorism, right? So I know you want to influence a mass amount of people, but in order to do that, you have to be a little bit more segmented. Okay, I'm going to talk about this issue here. I'm going to talk about this issue here. and then create a tribe of people around you. So you don't have to do most of the talking.
Right, right.
Yeah. And definitely look for speaking engagements where you could, and opportunities, events, festivals that you can show up to.
Right. Okay, great.
Um,
For telling me that. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure. Anyone else? We have Barbara, Pretty, Taylor, Michelle. Oh, Michelle is the queen, right? Michelle was the cool queen.
Still waiting on my crown, just saying.
I have a question. I typed it in. I'm in IHOP. I'm sorry. Can you look at my question? Can you hear me?
Oh, wait,
It's,
hold on.
it's
Wait.
too much noise in here. Sorry.
Which one is your question? Hold on, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, you keep unmuting.
Do you
Tanisha?
recommend writing
Tanisha.
reporters directly and pitching to them? Is that the question?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, is it, do you recommend writing reporting directly and
Yes,
pitching?
yes. I'm curious about that. Thank you.
Yes. YES spelled it. So here's what you're gonna do, right? You're gonna identify the media that you want to be interviewed in. You're gonna go to their website and you're gonna find out who is the journalist that deals with this specific thing, right?
I got
You
all that
guys-
information already, Sissy, for when we want to.
You
What she's
guys are
talking about right
very,
now.
yeah, you guys are very fortunate over there that everything is on the website. So this is the ones that deal with beauty. This is the one that deals with fashion. Like you're very good over there, right? And you're gonna write directly to the editor and or journalist and or reporter, depending on the platform, directly, right? You are all, but before you send the official pitch, you need to do a little bit of research. When you find out who the reporter is, click on their link and see the kind of stories that they have done and the tone that they use, right? Some journalists or reporters have a very serious tone. Some of them have a very matter-of-fact tone. Some of them are very fun and quirky, and tailor your pitch to suit their personality. If the person is a fun person and the pitch is too serious, they're not going to read it. And vice versa. If they are a serious person, but the pitch is too funny and like they're not going to read it. So just take a kind of look at the tone that they use, right? And then send your pitch, tailor your pitch to suit, make sure it's timely and relevant, and send it off, right? And then obviously follow up with a phone call. If they don't have a website, call the station and ask, who do I send this to? And then use that name to research them online, right? Every journalist has a Twitter account, every single one, right? You can go on Twitter and take it from there. Anybody else? Oh. Anybody else? I'm seeing this link. What is this sources of sources.com? I've never heard of it. Pretty?
Yeah, hi.
Hi,
I'm sorry,
what
my
is
lights
this?
are still off. It's basically you'll get an email with information about the articles that journalists are looking for. And
Okay.
and then you can reach out to them. You click on the link and you can reach out to them if you have the expertise. So it's just like opens up so many possibilities to get out there. I haven't
Nice.
personally looked into it, but it's very interesting if you have the time and the capacity, which I do not have right now.
I am going to check it out. Oh, as we say in Trinidad, I'm going to Mako. Y'all, you have to forgive me. It's my culture. I have to use my local words. I just have to. I'm going to Mako the scene. All right. Any other questions? Taylor, Michelle, Tina. We have just a few more minutes before we log off. I could not have been that thorough. I mean, I know I'm fantastic. Let's be clear. I'm very clear on how fantastic I am. But I could not have been that thorough. You all must have questions.
I have a question. I kind of want to lean into, you were talking about confidence, right? So I'm curious, do you have or anyone have strategies that they do, like affirmations or things to help kind of I think the quote, it says, it's the quiet inner knowledge that you're capable. And so I think for me, that comes from like reaffirming myself. So I don't know if you have any insight there in terms of building confidence when you're going into unfamiliar places.
This is gonna sound awful, right? But just do it. I know it's terrible, but you just have to do it, right? Because the only way to get through it is to do it, right? And you can do all the affirmations you want, right? But until you actually hit send on that email, nothing is going to happen. So you just have to do. Sometimes, like, I'm not gonna lie to you all. Sometimes, as soon as I finish an email, I don't even bother to read it again, because I know if I read it again, I will find some foolishness to not send it, right? So I just hit send. Whatever happened. It's out there in the universe, right? So I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm deeply sorry. But you just have to do it and trust in the universe, trust in God that things will work out, because they always do, right? Even if it comes back as we loved your pitch, but we're not ready to interview you now, but we have this other thing that's coming up that I think you will be grateful. That happens a lot too. Or sometimes you send a pitch and you send it too late. And they're like, oh my gosh, I wish you had, and they put you on a file. And then they call you the following year, right? And you forget you sent that pitch, but they remembered you, right? You just have to do it. I'm so sorry. But yeah. I'm just putting the website in the chat. Today.com. Any other questions?
I have one question. You were talking about doing the local media. You said like if you had media, like and you were in Miami, you would run a brand awareness ad. Do you have an example of that? Like, what's your brand awareness ad? Is it, can I see it?
It's literally like, so the example I had used is, so I'm in Trinidad and Tobago, right? Which is the southernmost Caribbean island, right? But I would get an interview in Barbados, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Bahamas, right? I would take that interview and run an ad in that country, right? So I would run my Barbados interview, the link and everything, I run an ad in Barbados for like 2-3 days, right? So more people in Barbados can see that I was featured in their newspaper. So the same will apply to you. You're living in this state, but you got interviewed in that state. Just run an ad so more people in that state is going to see you. Obviously, you're going to be a little bit more specific with your parameters for the ad, right? You're going to be very clear. It's for women, that's between this age and this age. Like, you're going to be very specific, but run the ad so more people can see.
Is the idea, Carla, to get more opportunities in that specific area, or is it just for awareness?
It depends.
Okay.
Do you have clientele in that area that can actually convert into paying customers? If so, then it's more than brand awareness, right? It's actually going to convert, right? At the end of the day, you have to be very discerning with how you spend your money. So if it was worth it to you to be interviewed there, then it should be worth it to you to invest a little bit so more people in that area can see, so it can convert. Because what could also happen too is your ideal customer may not necessarily see it, but somebody might see it and tell your ideal customer, hey, did you check out that interview that Michelle did? Oh, I heard you were talking about somebody, you needed a speaker for colorism. I just saw this email, this thing on my feed that Karen was talking about. You should give her a call, right? That happens all the time. Did I miss any questions in the chat? Any other questions you all want to ask me? Tina.
There's,
Hyacinth.
sorry, Carla, there's one more question. I think this is from Jacqueline. Would you recommend running Google ads or Facebook ads?
That's a very good question. I would say Google is better than Facebook ads. Where is your audience on Facebook and Instagram? I mean, for that one, I mean, you may have to test it out. I would say Google is better, right? Because of the reach, I think it's better. But if your audience is constantly scrolling on social media, then Facebook might actually be the better option. So you kind of have to know your audience. Michelle says, thank you. You've been amazing. I know, but thank you for saying it anyway. Oh, so when are y'all coming to Trinidad?
Very funny.
When are y'all coming to Trinidad so I can carry y'all to some bacon shack and Maracas Beach? When are y'all coming? Just hit me
When
up.
is Carnival?
So we have Tobago Carnival coming up in October. And then the big carnival, Trinidad and Tobago Carnival, is in February of every year. So if y'all want to come to Tobago Carnival, just let me know. Carry y'all on the beach. Yeah.
I'm asking like I would actually be out there and not hiding in the corner somewhere. Oh, man. Carla, you are amazing, amazing, amazing. And I don't know if we told you this when we first contacted you, but you're our first international speaker for our virtual series. Who's actually, yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much. You are a blessing to us. And I think based on the comments, I think everybody pretty much agrees with me that this was really helpful. So we appreciate your time, your expertise. And for those who would like to stay in contact with Carla, especially if you're going to utilize her services, here are her contacts, her social handles again, and we'll send these out in a follow-up email to everyone as well.
Let me just add really quickly is I offer free consultation. So if anything resonated with you today and you want to have a conversation about it, if you go to my Instagram and go in the bio, the link in the bio, you can book a free consultation there. And I would love to help you ladies get seen, heard, and paid globally. Yeah.
We will definitely, and we'll actually share this out to our Facebook community as well, and Insta community so that they can take advantage of that. So once again, Carla, thank you so much. You were incredible.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. You all have no idea. And now I have to go host karaoke, so I keep the energy up.
Do what you do. Ladies, just some final announcements. Welcome to Karen Moore. Karen Moore is our newest member of McQueen. Welcome to the McQueen family. I think we have 2 more of these. So if you did not take advantage, I promise you, we never, not even for Black Friday, we never discounted 50%. So if you have been thinking about it, all of the fees are waived to all of our activities for a year. There are 2 more slots left with June 24 as the code. So feel free to use that. First come, first serve. Obviously, these are some upcoming events. Feel free to take a screenshot of it, but our Members Connect event is coming up this Wednesday, and that's exclusively for McQueen members to meet, connect with each other, ask questions about or give feedback about your experience, ask questions about your benefits, maybe even make suggestions about some of the things that we could do to improve your experience with us. Our DMV DC Metro Area Small Business Expo and Embracing You Conference is coming up. It like prepped up on us, but August 16th and 17th, and we've been releasing new speakers every week for the last couple of weeks, so you can go there and check the updated list and some of the activities that we have going on. And then our July meetups, so we're in 16, I'm not sure who that is, but if everyone can mute, please, because I feel like I'm shouting. Okay, the July meetups, So we're in 16 cities across the United States. Obviously, there are not 16 that are listed here, and that's because we add our confirmed speakers as they confirm. So this flyer will look a little bit different by the time you see it in circulation on social media. But just know that that's what's happening in July is we're back to meeting in person. You can actually like see face to face some of our community members. So please be sure to take advantage of that. And last but not least, other ways to get involved with McQuinn. Obviously, attend a meetup, help us by sharing our content, the things that we're doing on social, be a speaker at an event. There is a process to that, but if you are interested in being considered, then please do submit a proposal. Write an article. Carla mentioned this as a great way to kind of build your digital footprint. So we do have a blog where we accept blog writers and then volunteer. Right now, our most desperate need is for our Embracing You conference. That is our largest event of the year. And so we could use some help if any of you are available in DMV. Yeah, and these are ways to stay connected with us. If you have not already, please drop your socials in the chat and we'll be sure to follow you. And then these are some ways for you to stay connected with us. And last but not least, feedback. So if there's a specific topic you'd like to see, any feedback that you give, trust and believe that we're hearing it is not falling on deaf ears. Feel free to just scan that code, that QR code, and just let us know how we're doing and what we should improve on. So ladies, I thank you all so much. We lead always with faith and the firm belief that we don't do this just for ourselves, but in obedience to what God has called us to do. So I'm just going to close us out in prayer. Feel free to hang out a little bit longer if you want to stay connected. I'm not sure how much longer Carla is going to stay on, but feel free to hang out a little bit. And I'll just close this out in prayer. Father, we thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to connect. Thank you for the opportunity to do life intentionally, God. Every minute and second that we have, we don't take it for granted, God. And we thank you that we can do what we're called to do and what we love to do, God. Pray that you bless our efforts, God, that you will meet us where we are and just whatever we can't do, Father, we just leave it in your hands, God, to do. Pray for Carla right now that you would continue to expand her territory, enlarge her territory, give her favor as she continues to equip and support more and more and more women entrepreneurs. And we pray for every woman here, every business, every need that's represented, God. And we pray for just your intervention, God, and for us to see more and more of you in the marketplace. In Jesus' name, amen. God bless you. Feel free to.
In Jesus' name,
like
amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, Carla. You're the bombdiggity.com. And you are.
Thank you so much for having me. I would love to come back on and maybe touch on that crisis management, because I know that is it's a topic that people overlook until it actually happens. So I mean, if I can submit a topic, I think crisis management for entrepreneurs, I think is a good one. So yeah, and maybe how to show up more confidently in the media, but I don't know if we're ready for that yet. I think the crisis is a good place. But yeah. Yeah.
So can I say, when you said crisis management, I immediately thought of when people like try to sabotage, or when you get a bad review and you try to figure out like, how do you regroup
all of
from
that is part of it. Sometimes it could be as simple as you being misquoted, right? You said something, but it was received a different way, right? We live in a world where anything can happen at a moment's notice, and you just want to be prepared, right? So I always teach. When I teach crisis management, I teach PR first, like how I did today, and then I say, okay, if you do all of these things right, managing a crisis is going to be much easier. But this is how you're going to do it if you ever end up in hot water. But I feel it might have been a little too much, but a little much. Yeah. All right, ladies, I am hearing these people are singing, so I need to go. I tell you all, these are celebrities in their past life. You have no idea how serious these people take their karaoke. So I'm gonna go, and yeah, hopefully we stay in touch, everyone. And the
Yeah.
ones that I did not hear from tonight, please at least reach out to me on social media and tell me how fantastic I am. That'll be great. That'll be great.
Will do, Carla. Enjoy karaoke.
Bye, guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a blessed evening, everyone. Zoe?
Hi, Andrina. Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Have a good day. Thank you so much for hanging out so much later. You're the
That's
best.
fine. Thank you so much for this session, Andrina.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend.
See you on Monday.
Okay. Bye, Barbara.
Bye-bye.